Council. The time is 6:30 p.m. and we'll begin with a roll call. When I call your name, please say here or present. Mayor Maxton.
Here.
Councilmember Stroop.
Here.
Councilmember Roden.
Here.
Councilmember Olvera.
Here.
Councilmember Pearson.
Here.
Councilmember Parker.
Here.
And Councilmember Swearick.
Here.
With 7 of 7 members present, a quorum is declared.
Thank you, Amanda. And would everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That sounded really good. We did not have anybody sign up for citizens to be heard tonight. Is there anybody that did not get an opportunity to sign up that would like to speak? As a reminder, we do live broadcast this meeting and would like to welcome everybody that's here in attendance tonight and all those that are joining us by live broadcast. If you do get an opportunity to speak as part of the meeting, I'd ask that you use the microphone at the podium up here. And the reason being, if you make comments from your seats, the people that have joined us by live broadcast cannot hear the comments. And when you do get an opportunity to speak at the microphone, I'd ask that you introduce yourself. And if you're a resident, state whether you're a resident of Fair Oaks Ranch or not, or if you're with an organization that's here tonight, what organization that you're here representing. And with that, we'll move on to our consent agenda tonight. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. First is approval of the March 19th, 2026 regular city council meeting minutes. Second, the approval of the cancellation of the May 21st, 2026 city council meeting. And last, approval of Councilmember Roden's absence from the December 4th, 2025 regular city council meeting. Is there any council member that would like to remove any of the items from consent to consideration? With that, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
From Scott, and a second
Second.
from Ruben. All in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. And with that, we'll move on to our consideration items tonight. We have 3 items on the agenda. First is the consideration and possible action approving a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement with R.L. Jones LP for the SAWS Emergency Interconnect Project and the expenditure of the required funds and execution of all applicable documents by the city manager. And Clayton, you're going to lead us through this one?
Yes, sir. Good evening, council and mayor. This item begins on page 11 of your agenda packet. This particular item is regarding the SAWS Emergency Interconnect Project, specifically the construction agreement. You'll notice the next topic covers an agreement associated with this, but this particular item is just about the construction agreement. At a high level, it's just about making our water system more resilient and reliable, especially during emergencies. It will create a direct emergency connection to the San Antonio water system, so it will give us a backup water supply if something goes wrong or we have some sort of extended outage or pressure issue. Just a quick background, we started the design phase back in February of 2025, and then towards the end of 2025, we had an agreement with SAWS that got approved that allowed us to move forward with this project, design finalized, and we proceeded with the next phase of this. So in March, we issued a request for proposals. We received 4 responses. You'll see these below. They range from the upper 2s to the lower to mid 400,000 range. We met, an evaluation committee met and reviewed all the proposals, and we selected R.L. Jones LP as providing the best value to the city. They also were the lowest respondent for this particular project. Once we give a notice to proceed, we're anticipating it to take about 71 calendar days, so it's a pretty quick project, pretty quick turnaround. It supports our strategic priority of ensuring reliable water resources. We follow our procurement standards, and it gives us a backup service to pressure zone C during emergencies. We have around $308,000 currently budgeted still for the construction of this project. The proposed contract tonight is $453,000. We're recommending a 5% contingency, so that amount that we're seeking authorization for totals $301,825.65. So we are recommending approval of the resolution authorizing this agreement with R.L. Jones LP for the Saws Emergency Interconnect Project and expenditure of the funds and execution of the agreements. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions? Any questions from anyone here tonight? And with that, can I get a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement with R.L. Jones LP for the Saws Emergency Interconnect Project, the expenditure of the required funds, and execution of all applicable documents by the city manager?
So moved.
Keith, and a
Second.
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 Jonathan? Any other comments or discussion from council? Motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion is approved. And you're going to carry the second one too, Clayton?
Steve's going to
Oh, Steve? Thanks, Clayton. The second item that we have tonight related to the same interconnect project is the consideration and possible action approving a resolution authorizing the execution of a waterline project cost-sharing agreement with G. Leon Family Partnership for a contribution towards the Saws Emergency Interconnect Project. And Steve?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Stephen Freed, Assistant Director of Public Works. And tonight, we bring forward a consideration and possible action item. This item for your approval is a cost-sharing agreement with the G. Leon Family Partnership for a contribution towards the Saws Emergency Interconnect Project. This agreement can be found in your council packet starting on page 30. As part of this project, the city is upsizing an existing water main between Leslie Pfeiffer and Fair Oaks Parkway to improve water system resiliency. At the same time, the developers of the Cinco de Mayo restaurant, the G. Leon Family Partnership, is required to upsize a water line to meet their fire flow requirements for the property. Rather than constructing two separate water lines in the same corridor, staff worked with the developer to combine efforts into a single installation. Under this agreement, the city's contractor will construct the upsized water line, and the developer will contribute $50,000 towards the project. Staff evaluated that the estimated cost and determined that this contribution is consistent with what the developer would have incurred constructing the required infrastructure independently. This approach avoids building two separate lines, reduces overall construction impacts, and provides a direct cost benefit to the city. It also helps advance the Saws Emergency Interconnect Project more efficiently while still meeting the developer's needs. In closing, staff recommends the approval of the resolution authorizing the execution of the cost-sharing agreement with the G. Leon Family Partnership. And with that, I'm open to answer any questions.
Any questions?
No, sir.
Anybody else? Everybody good? Any questions from anyone here tonight? Can I get a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of a waterline project cost-sharing agreement with the G. Leon Family Partnership for a contribution towards the Saws Emergency Interconnect Project?
So moved.
Is that Scott?
Second.
And Emily. Any other comments or discussion from council? With the motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion is approved. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll move on to our third consideration item tonight, which is the consideration and possible action approving a resolution authorizing the execution of an interlocal agreement with Kendall County for repair and improvements to soften the northern curve on Emmon Road, and the expenditure of the required funds and execution of all applicable documents by the city manager. And Grant.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Grant Watanabe, Public Works Director for the city. And tonight I'll be presenting an interlocal agreement with Kendall County to share the cost of softening the northern curve. For reference, this agenda item starts on page 56, and this presentation starts on page 71 of the agenda packet. So starting off with a little background first. Back in May of '24, voters approved the issuance of general obligation bonds for the reconstruction of Emmon Road. Design for this project started in February of '25, and the project scope included the softening of the southern curve to improve sight distance, to reduce turning severity, and create a safer travel path for motorists and emergency vehicles. Shortly after the project was approved, Kendall County expressed some interest in softening their northern curve as well, which can be seen on the map to the left. Subsequent meetings with the Kendall County Commissioner for Precinct 2 and the Kendall County Engineer led to a draft ILA to share the cost of these improvements. So the conditions of the northern curve are very similar to the southern curve. It's a sharp 90-degree bend. It can be difficult for some larger trucks or vehicles with trailers to make that turn without crossing the center line. And it's also the site of quite a few vehicle accidents. In one of the photos, you can see that one of the utility poles at that location was hit. And this slide shows the results of a query using the TxDOT Crash Records Information System. From 2021 to 2026, there were a total of 7 crashes at or near that northern curve. In 2021, there were 4. In 2022, there were 2. 2023, there was 1. And these 7 crashes may not represent the total number of crashes at the site, just the ones that were reported to law enforcement and the ones that met the threshold for reporting to the state level. And just for comparison, at our last meeting, Chief Smith had reported that there were a total of 10 crashes at the southern curve during this same time period. So on this slide, you can see an exhibit of the proposed curve to the left. It won't be as big or as wide as the southern curve. And it is also limited by the location of Bernie's future water plant, which can also be seen on the exhibit. Under this proposed ILA, there was a cost-sharing arrangement, a 50-50 cost-sharing arrangement between the city and Kendall County. And since the total estimated cost, including the design, the road and drainage improvements, the driveway and utility adjustments, is estimated at $300,000. The city's cost would be approximately $150,000. Under the proposed ILA, the city will manage the northern curve improvements as part of the larger Emmon Road reconstruction project. The ILA also allows either party to terminate within 30 days after receiving bids. And lastly, upon completion, the city will maintain the portion of the road within city limits, and the county will maintain the portion of the road that lies outside of incorporated areas. This proposed ILA provides several benefits to citizens. First, it aligns with Priority 3.4 of our strategic plan to enhance and ensure reliable roadway improvement initiatives. It addresses some long-term traffic safety concerns on Emmon Road, which has contributed to multiple crashes. It provides improved access and rapid response by fire and emergency vehicles. And lastly, it demonstrates regional cooperation between the city and Kendall County to address traffic safety concerns affecting both entities. In summary, staff seeks City Council approval of the proposed ILA. Note that Kendall County has already approved the ILA back on January 13th of this year, and that reconstruction or the northern curve would happen in conjunction with the larger Emmon Road project, which is expected to start in early 2027. And with that, that concludes my presentation, unless the council has any questions. Yes, sir. Dale.
Grant, on the diagram you showed with the new curve coming in that northeast corner, there will be ditches on each side of that ditch then, trenched? Is that correct?
There would be, it would tie into some of the ditches proposed under the Ammon Road reconstruction project, that's correct. And there's also some culverts in the area that will have to be upsized or replaced as part of the driveway adjustments.
Thank you.
What percentage of the project is within Fair Oaks city limits versus Kendall County? Because we're splitting 50-50, but is more of this in their area rather than our city limits?
Yes, I would say more of it would be outside of the city limits. Right now, the boundary between the city and the county is, it kind of bisects that sharp curve right now.
Yeah.
But the Bernie property is within the county, and the east-west leg of Ammon Road is within the county.
Was it, when y'all came up with the 50-50, was it ever discussed, like paying the proportionate share of, like if 60% of the project's in Kendall County, why wouldn't they pay 60 and we pay 40?
It was in terms of the maintenance.
Okay.
So the current, as granted, the current portion is 50-50. It's right in the middle of the curve essentially. So
Okay.
it's really, we'd split the construction cost, but going forward, obviously more of this project will be in county territory just by where the curve is at. So they'll assume a greater proportion of the maintenance after it's built.
And then does the proposed curve, does that actually go through, is that Bernie's land where the water plant is? Does it go through their land?
That's correct, yes.
So has there been discussions with the city of Bernie as to obtaining easement or whatever it is to make that curve there?
That's correct. We have met with the city of Bernie to talk about the right-of-way dedication that would be needed to support this project, yes.
Are they on board or do we know yet?
They
I
have
can't
agreed to do
speak
that.
for the council, Bernie's council, but in talking with their city manager and their utilities director, they believe it will be supported.
Okay, thank you.
And I had a question along the same lines. We were talking about the 50-50, and so we're estimating at 300,000. Is that going to be the cost to Kendall County? Because since we're combining it with the Ammon Road project, it's not really a separate project. And so we're not going to have a separate cost for this. So are we just giving back to Kendall County that their cost is?
But we'll have the quantities, so we'll know what this section will cost, and their agreement is to pay 50% of whatever the bids come in at of this portion.
Oh, so will it be separately bid even?
Well, our plan is to bid it as a bid alternate or additive bid alternate to the project, and whatever that additional cost is to soften the northern curve would be split 50-50.
Okay.
Both parties will get a chance to review prior to execution.
But ultimately, it's just included as part of the Ammon Road project, correct?
City will manage all of the project, and the county will contribute its share.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I got one.
Uh-huh.
So to the mayor's point, will we try to back out some of the mobilization fees incurred rather than just have it an add-on and look at it as, we are paying 100% of the mobilization fees if it's just an add-on to the whole project. But will we designate a portion of that to the northern curve?
That was not anticipated, no.
And will any utilities have to be moved?
So it's likely that there's two PEC utility poles that are right at that corner that may need to be relocated, that's correct.
Nothing underground?
Not that we know of at this time. A lot of the telecom are on the poles, but I can't speak for what's underground. We'll have to do that as part of our design phase.
Water line.
Right.
We got to put it 20 foot deeper.
Culvert.
Anybody else? Any questions from anyone here tonight? Can I get a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of an interlocal agreement with Kendall County for repair and improvements to Emmons Road to soften the northern curve on Emmons Road and the expenditures of the required funds and execution of all applicable documents by the city manager?
So moved.
Jonathan, in a second.
Second.
Dale, any other discussion from council?
I had one question. Do we know what the speed limit will be on that curve? 75, that sounds, all right, it sticks, right?
So that'll be
That's a later question.
during the design phase that'll be determined, yes.
Thank you, Grant.
Any other comments or discussion from council? Motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. Thanks, Grant.
Thank you, council.
And that completes the consideration items that we had on the agenda tonight. We do have 3 workshop items to go through. And the first is to review the annual street maintenance plan for the upcoming year. Steve, you gonna lead us through this one?
Yes, sir. And again, for the record, I'm Stephen Freed, Assistant Director of Public Works. And tonight, for this workshop item, I'll be walking you through the fiscal year 2025-26 Annual Street Maintenance Plan and our overall pavement preservation strategy. This can be found in your council packet starting on page 78. Staff is seeking council's guidance on advancing this plan as presented. For a quick overview of what we'll cover tonight, I'll go over some background on our roadway system, how we plan and prioritize projects, the proposed maintenance plan for this fiscal year, and the pavement marking plan to support it. Then we'll pause for any questions you might have. To start with some context, Fair Oaks Ranch maintains over 60 miles of roadway infrastructure. The key point here is that 78% of our roads are over 30 years old, and more than half are over 40. So the focus of our program is preservation, extending the life of these roadways by applying the right treatment to the right streets at the right time. So our planning starts with data. We completed a pavement condition survey in the fall of 2024, and this is done every 5 years. That survey follows ASTM standards and feeds directly into our asset management software, which we use to build our annual plan. Two key metrics we use are PCI and OCI. PCI looks at the physical condition of the pavement, things like cracking and surface distress, and OCI builds on that by also factoring in ride quality. Together, they give us a more complete picture of both structural condition and user experience. This graphic on the screen shows you how pavement condition is categorized, with good condition in the top left corner and very poor condition in the bottom right. The takeaway here is that early intervention is significantly more cost-effective than waiting until a road fails. That's the foundation of our preservation approach. Our plan uses a mix of treatments, from preventative maintenance all the way to full reconstruction when necessary. The graphic suggests what treatments may be required based on the OCI rating. The goal here is to use these treatments to bring streets back into the satisfactory to good range and stop the continued decline that leads to more costly reconstruction. The key point, delaying maintenance increases long-term cost, so timing is critical. For project planning, we use a web-based asset management system to guide our decision-making. It evaluates roadway conditions, predicts future degradation, and helps build a plan that stays within budget while maximizing network performance. On this slide, you'll see 2 examples of how projects are distributed before improvements and after the data is entered into the asset management program. Dark red represents very poor condition, and dark green represents very good condition. essentially giving us a heat map to work with. You'll notice areas of concern on Rolling Acres, Dietz Elkhorn, and Ammon Road with this cycle's plan. As we complete this year's treatments and planned reconstruction projects, those areas will improve, and you'll see a lot more of the system shift towards green in our next cycle. These maps help ensure we're managing the system as a whole and not just reacting to isolated issues. The total budget for this year's plan is approximately $831,000, which includes construction, incidentals, and patching. The network OCI begins at 83.82 and ends at 83.79. That slight decrease is primarily due to the continued degradation on Dietz Elkhorn East, Ammon Road, and Rolling Acres Trail, all of which are already identified for future capital improvements. I'd also like to note on this slide that our in-house fog seal program more than doubles last year's quantities, demonstrating a continued expansion of our in-house capabilities. In addition to pavement work, we're completing the required striping and safety improvements. This includes restriping on key corridors like Dietz Elkhorn, Fair Oaks Parkway, and Keeneland, along with stop bars and reflective pavement markers. These improvements help maintain visibility and roadway safety. And that concludes my presentation tonight. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So you're gathering a lot of data on the streets now, correct? And will that be stored to go and look backwards in time in terms of how long different treatments are working in different parts of the city on different roads over 3, 5, 7 years, whatever?
I believe that should reveal itself by how long the pavement remains in the good condition. So I don't know if it can directly point back to that, but I believe we could get an estimated length of how those treatments are reacting. Yes, sir.
And it's not just peculiar to a street, because it's also related to the amount of traffic.
Correct.
So putting a treatment on the Parkway would be different in time versus putting it on a secluded residential street.
Yes, sir. And the program has that built into it, so.
Good question. Jonathan?
I'm just going to frame this and put it on my nightstand because I love these numbers so much. And I just want to say thank you to staff and to council for making this possible. And I would ask, can we continue this trend where we're continuing to bring more of this? Are we finding it sustainable? I know that I talked to Clint today and we just filled the drainage position that we have open. So it's like, do you see further savings next year, year over year?
I would anticipate that,
With the
yes, sir.
equipment that
But
we already have?
We'll see how this works this year, and then
Sure.
if it runs smoothly, we'll keep on advancing. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Stephen, your comment on the previous slide about the OCI at the beginning and at the end, if you took out the 3 roads that are being reconstructed, how much would that have changed? Do you know off the top of your head? How much improvement would we have seen?
I believe we were in the 85 range. Is that correct, Grant?
Anybody else? I just had a quick comment, not a question, but you've implemented this maintenance plan, I don't know, over 6 years. I think about 6 years ago we started. And I know each year that you and your team have continued to make improvements in this. And, as we refine it, the results is that we continue to maintain very quality streets within our city. And you mentioned 60 miles of network that we have to keep an eye on. But of that, y'all do a great job in ensuring that we have quality streets. And I get lots of comments about it, that you drive in other cities, you don't see this thoroughly throughout the city, but here, y'all do a great job, and I just wanted to compliment you for what you've done. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
Can I piggyback on that? Especially with the in-house stuff. I think that's money that's been well spent. You guys have done a bang-up job. My time on council, about 5 years now, it really has improved. And being able to get our arms around these numbers is really just gonna, I think, continue to take us into the future. A great job, Steve. Thanks.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Would you mind? Good question.
My name is Carol Willoughby. I am a resident of Fair Oaks Ranch. And I'm wondering if there's a timeline on the ones that are being rebuilt that seem to be in the worst shape, i.e. Dietz Elkhorn.
Yeah, Dietz Elkhorn is the first in the chute. It was already scheduled to start, but we're doing a water line project along with it. And right now, they're finishing up what we're in final stages of the water line project design. And I believe we'll go out for bid here in May or June. And they plan on starting sometime this summer on the reconstruction of it. We have discussed that there will be a communications campaign associated with this to let people know about the construction, because there will be detours and involved with the reconstruction of that road. But a good question, and I think it's about a 12-month project once it starts. Doesn't mean it will impact your area for 12 months, but it will take 12 months to do the full length of Dietz Elkhorn. Does that answer your question?
School traffic.
Yes, we're aware. And that's why we need to communicate it so well to get the information out. Okay. Anybody else? Thank you for the question. And for council, I think what Steve was looking for is, I mean, we'll move ahead with this plan. Is everybody good with the plan that he has laid out? And then I believe separately you bring back each of the contracts for those that we have to make. And we'll probably see those between now and June sometime for,
That's correct. I believe we have one coming next council meeting.
okay.
3, I think.
Three? Oh.
Watch the finance lady.
That's good. All right. Anything else? You got everything you need, Steve, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Scott?
Good.
All right. And we'll move on to our second workshop item tonight, which is related to outdoor lighting. Jessica, good topic.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council, and attendees. My name is Jessica Relucio, City Planner for the City of Fair Oaks Ranch. This workshop is for City Council to provide direction on the recommended changes to the UDC and the Code of Ordinances related to outdoor lighting. This item begins on page 92 of the agenda packet, and the presentation is on page 110. The recommended changes and purpose of the amendments are to eliminate conflicting provisions, remove repetitiveness, and consolidate the provisions into one ordinance. For some background, in 2009, the ordinance for outdoor lighting was adopted at Camp Bolus's request to regulate outdoor lighting. This ordinance at the time mirrored the International Dark Sky Standards. Then in 2019, the Unified Development Code, also known as UDC, was adopted, and within that section, there were outdoor lighting provisions as well. Between these two different code documents, there are differences where some sections are added in one and not the other, and then the other one also has similarities as well, same sections. So they're essentially kind of creating one document already. As a result, staff recommends consolidating the UDC and the ordinance into one document within the Code of Ordinance, and that's Attachment B in the agenda packet. And in doing so, there are two key policy conflicts staff found, recommends amending, and is seeking council feedback on it tonight. The first provision is related to outdoor recreational activities. I'll share the current code's recommendations and then pause for council to discuss and provide consensus with staff's recommendation or provide additional recommendations to incorporate. The UDC states that outdoor activities can occur until 10 p.m., and then the ordinance states that activities can occur from 11 p.m. local time to sunrise, except to conclude a specific recreational activity already in progress. And then staff's recommendation is no outdoor recreational facility in all zones, private and public, shall be illuminated from 10 p.m. to sunrise. Additionally, there is a new definition as well for outdoor recreational facilities that states sports fields, stadiums, ball fields, courts, and similar facilities where organized or informal recreation would occur. At this time, I will pause for council to consider and direct staff on these recommendations.
The country club really the only facility that's going to have recreational outdoor lighting?
No, there's also the school, and then there's also private properties as well. But to the golf course, they do currently shut down lights at 10 p.m.
Okay, I was going to ask if, I know it's a big tennis community, so I wasn't sure if they played past 10.
No, 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm.
Are we leaving any room in here for advanced warning if there's a special event?
A special event at, say, the country club, for instance?
Well, the country club, but I'm also thinking of, and if the school was holding an event, or was using somebody was using the school grounds, and they might go a little bit o'clock, if there was some way to, I mean, I don't know if we need to foot stomp 10 o'clock, if with advance warning, we wanted to hold additional.
Right,
See where
okay.
I'm going?
That is a great question. We can consider that. I know currently we do have like a special use permit also for zoning. So that may be something to consider as part of that special use event that if it's also going into the evening may require additional traffic, parking considerations, and other safety measures too.
I hate to set something up for failure, and this is for council. I don't know what y'all think, but I could see where there may be an event or something later on, some special fiesta event. They're using the park or something. But it wouldn't be the rule. It would be the exception. Want to provide for that up front.
As you were talking about it, I'm thinking maybe one event a year.
Right, exactly.
Every other year.
Yeah.
That would come up.
I don't
know if possible if it could be written in, maybe you would just give authority to the city manager to review and approve those as they come up. Is that?
So the draft already includes, and some of it's in our current language, where, and this is in specific regard to sporting events, but it says that there's an exception that says 10 o'clock or 11. The proposal is 10 o'clock, except to conclude a specific recreational activity already in progress. So it grants some flexibility already, and like Jessica says, like it could also be incorporated into our special events process that we discussed.
Okay.
If I may add also, in section 3.15.004, B, there's temporary exemptions in the ordinance already for something where a written request can be provided.
Okay, so that's where I was headed.
And does it give approval authority for that? Is it?
Written request to city manager for a temporary exemption from the requirements of this article.
Perfect.
Done. Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Just for clarification, this is a restriction that would be applied equally to not only commercial properties, but also residential properties.
Correct.
how is it enforced? So if like somebody has a big party or whatever, and they have a bunch of lights on, and it's midnight now, is it only enforced if somebody calls in to complain? Would they call PD? Like, how does it even work itself out?
Yes, we would have to be notified, and then the city does have a tool to actually test that, how many lumens it's exceeding into another property, the adjacent property side.
So if somebody violates this, it's not enforced unless somebody calls, complains, then PD gets sent out, and then they test it or, you know, measure it or whatever.
Yes, that's how it's currently being able to be processed, yeah. And in relation to outdoor recreational activities, we're looking at someone that probably already has like a basketball court in their backyard.
So Junior can't play basketball in his backyard at 11 o'clock?
Yeah, it's just the lighting, yeah, the concern of the lighting, yeah.
I don't see it, like, I don't know that, does this ever get enforced? Like, does anyone ever call and complain about lights?
I believe we've gotten a couple, and we've had our code officer had to go out during the weekend. But there's not really many when it comes to this specific concern. It's just here because between the two different existing codes we have, there's a conflict and we have to choose one.
Okay, makes sense.
Invite your neighbors.
Is everybody okay with the 10 o'clock?
To the point, it has not been a frequent issue, but in the process of investigating one complaint, which actually was compliant, but that's how we discovered the conflict between the two codes. So the intent here is primarily to get them in sync.
Any questions from anybody here tonight? Reference? Okay.
All right. The next provision is related to security motion type sensors. And currently in the UDC, it states that security lights controlled by sensors can be on for less than 10 minutes, so at most 10 minutes at a time. And then the ordinance states at most 5 minutes for an intermittent motion censored light. So staff is recommending the illumination to be on for a duration not to exceed 5 minutes, as currently stated in the ordinance, once it's been activated by a motion. And then also a definition for adaptive controls and security lights has been added, which is to include mechanical or an electric device actively regulating the switching duration and or intensity of light emitted by the outdoor lighting system. And now I will pause for council consideration and direction for staff.
Is everybody okay with the 5 minutes? And then what was the last portion?
The definition part,
Oh, okay.
it's just defining it as mechanical or an electronic device.
Any questions from anyone here tonight? Okay, 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Oh. So next, the process of how these code amendments will be implemented is not changing. The process includes the following. These codes are regulated by the city, and applicable homeowner associations, or HOA, may have separate requirements. The review process requires that building permits, except single-family, duplex, or site development permits, will contain the following: location, type, height, foot candle power measured throughout the site, photometric data which may be furnished by the manufacturer, and then the angle of the light emission shown as well. The next steps include, after this workshop, staff will incorporate the feedback into the proposed amendments, then go to Planning and Zoning Commission for a workshop on these recommendations, and then Planning and Zoning public hearing and UDC amendments with a recommendation to City Council. And then City Council will have a public hearing on the UDC amendments, and then the first reading by City Council on the proposed UDC and ordinance followed by the second reading of the proposed UDC and ordinance amendments. Okay. Last but not least, staff is seeking direction on whether to formally pursue an application effort to be recognized as an international dark sky. International Dark Sky is recognized by over 250 locations globally for showing exceptional dedication to night sky preservation. The purpose is to restore the nighttime environment and protect communities and wildlife from light pollution. The process includes 3 phases. The first one is an initial inquiry and eligibility review, followed by a formal application involving community engagement and a sky quality survey report, and then a certification in review by the International Dark Sky organization. Overall, this process can take, on average, 1 to 3 years. It really just varies based off of when it's being reviewed by the International Dark Sky, because currently they have over 200 applications right now, too. And then additionally, this process would require that the ordinance be in alignment with the dark sky requirements, in which case these code recommendations are a start. And then there's a form of community education necessary, and that can be a website addition. And now I will pause and get staff, council direction on this.
That's right.
So in this, could it, if I'm understanding it right, we might already meet the conditions for it, but we won't know until we get through the first phase?
Right.
And then
They will do a review of our ordinance and let us know if there's any recommendations they would recommend for us.
And then in that, if we don't meet their standards, it could be possible that to qualify, we would have to impose further restrictions on our residents as it pertains, and businesses as it pertains to lighting?
It may be possible.
But we would, that would come back to us, and then we would talk about it, and we could say, okay, well, we tried, we put it in, and we don't meet it, or if it's not too egregious and everybody, community seems to want it, at that point, we can.
Yes, correct. Any ordinance updates have to come to city council for review, and we can do a similar workshop to this for specifically relating to dark sky.
Do we have some indicator on, I feel like if there's 200 applications in there right now, then there's probably a bunch of cities maybe around us that already qualify. Are we kind of in the ballpark there where it looks like we already qualify, or?
We are. I would just think that maybe there's some like color, temperature, kind of minute kind of items that would have to be looked at, but we would have to get that confirmed by the dark sky when they let us know.
And what do we get aside from recognition as a dark sky?
It is recognition, just being awarded, and more community activity, similar to Tree City.
Are there any, if we're out of compliance, are there any grants available to come into compliance that you're aware of?
Not at this time, no. Yeah, we can consider that.
Thank you.
I guess, just from my standpoint, we can do this at any time. We can get our UDC and our code aligned and then come back and worry about dark sky later.
Yes, yes. Mhm.
I think we get our house in order,
Yes, that sounds good.
look at it.
Yeah, so we can work on just these couple of provisions, get a more final ordinance, and then in due time, we can come back for the dark sky.
I'm a fan. I think there are communities around us, and having trained out at Camp Bullis, it's important for our military people to be able to train in dark areas. But like I said, I think we should work on fixing our house first.
Is this a US-based organization, the International Dark Sky Community?
It's recognized by the state, nationally, and internationally.
US-based, it's not based in Europe or somewhere else, correct?
Right, we have a chapter here locally in the region.
There are at least a handful of communities that already are recognized locally. Fredericksburg are now. I just happened to get a communication yesterday from, I think it's Kamal County Friends of Dark Skies or something like that. They got a grant from the Hill Country Alliance to further their mission, including putting up sky quality meters. They told me that Bulverde is applying right now, Spring Branch, and I think she said
I'm for it.
Okay.
Well, based on what I heard, I mean, everybody's okay with pursuing the International Dark Skies. Based on this, the guidance given is really wait till we get our ordinance approved and in place and then with the process.
Yes, yep, we can do that.
And I had a question on the, so basically what we're doing, we're taking all the language out of the UDC and we're gonna put it into the ordinance.
Yes. Mhm.
And so we're gonna take this to the planning and zoning to review the UDC. I'm guessing they'll get to review the ordinance also for content or what?
it won't be a part of their formal process, but they'll have the documentation.
Okay.
Their formal recommendation is in regard to the UDC, but they'll have it because, yeah, they'll want to see how we're incorporating.
Everything we're
Into the
removing from
code.
the UDC.
Right. Right.
Okay. And so really their public hearing that they would conduct is just, it's really the removal of all of this information from the UDC.
Full hog red line, yes.
Okay.
Typically, there's a lot of interest in P and Zs at those meetings. Have those conversations and feedback too. And that's real helpful to smooth out the new ordinance, if you will.
And then with that, then we would have to do another public hearing for city council
For the
to review the UDC changes. And then after that, we'd have, is that 2 required votes on the UDC change? It is, isn't it? Yes, and then somewhere along that line, then we'd have the update to the ordinance.
I would plan to run them concurrently, but each would require 2 readings. That's correct.
Just so everybody's tracking it. All right,
Okay, thank you. All right, so now that concludes this presentation, and if there are any other further questions, staff's happy here to answer. We appreciate your time, and thank you.
I have a question. So if there is like a violation, is it a fine? It would be a fine?
For like the outdoor?
Yeah.
So we usually, it's
Or-
gonna be how we do it now, educational first, warnings, and then see how it goes.
And
Usual-
once, I'm sorry.
Usually it just works with like a first kind of, hey, this is what we have. Oh, sorry, didn't know, wasn't aware, sorry. And then they fix it.
I would think that maybe a lot of people don't even know we have the past ordinance and may not know the ordinance, so maybe look into communication on the front end, and then that way people are aware that this is what we already have and change slightly, but that way there's an awareness going into, not enforcement, but going into the new change.
Okay, yeah, like some social media posts and website, find it easier. Okay,
good
that's
point.
good.
thanks, Ruby.
And just to reiterate, this has not been a big problem as far as we see.
Yeah.
Any other questions from council? Any questions from anybody here tonight on the ordinance, UDC, dark skies? All right, got everything you need, Jessica?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Mayor.
You did a
Thank
great job.
Council
Thanks.
members.
And we have one remaining workshop tonight, which is to go through the proposed strategic plan update. And Jim Williams has done a lot of work on this.
been a team effort, Mayor.
I think you've been a big part of the team.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, good evening, Mayor, Council, and members of the public. Jim Williams, Assistant City Manager, and I am going to do hopefully a succinct and quick update to the strategic plan project that we're working on. And I say that because a lot has happened in the last, since January, and so I'm going to try to step through this as quickly as I can. During the slide deck part, especially when I get to the goals and objectives, I'll put a strategic pause in place. I'll just stop talking, kind of pan the council, and if there's no comments or questions, I'll press on. Does that sound good? Okay. So tonight, again, just a quick schedule update, just a brief update on the second engagement summary. We're going to spend quite a bit of time in the draft goals and objectives, walk through the next steps, and then seek council direction and feedback. So tonight, well, I asked this question up front last time. I did it again this time. But basically, as we're going through the slide deck, what do you want to see more of, less of, what's just about right, kind of the Goldilocks thing? Please let me know what you're thinking. Is there anything that we're missing in this? We've gone through a ton of information, a lot of feedback from the public. There's still a chance we missed something. So now's a good time to get that in there. And do the proposed goals and objectives that I'm going to step through, are they clear enough? And with the goals and objectives, we'll write a narrative on those, but as they're written in the single bullet statements, are they clear enough? So just some feedback on that. So be thinking about those questions. All right, so,
Jim,
yes, sir.
So you laid out the timeline. So really, this is the last time for council to review it prior to it coming back for approval.
Yes, sir, that's the plan. We're not letting this thing rest. We're trying to move through it quickly so that we can align it with our upcoming budget. And we're actually doing those projects in tandem right now. Budget and strategic plan, they're going to come together.
So tonight's review is really our opportunity to provide whatever input that we want, changes or concerns, as you mentioned earlier.
Sure. I mean, tonight would be a good time, and I'll go through some more timelines here, next steps towards the end. If between now and that time, if you wake up in the middle and I go, oh, what about this? Please call me or Scott, and we'll walk you through that. Council's familiar, public's familiar with this process that we're going through, the 5-step phase process. We started this back in December, January, where we got the RFP issued, and we've moved quickly through, and we are here right now on the draft plan development. So Mr. Ibarra and his team, Casey, have been starting to pull this together. I'm hoping to get a first look at it late next week sometime so we can start working on it internally. But we basically are on track and on schedule and we're doing quite a bit of work. Again, in May, the first council meeting in May, that first Thursday is when our intent is to bring it back for council adoption. Okay, so this is a recap on kind of where we left off last time. A steering committee, based on all the work sessions, all of the town hall meetings, all of the stakeholder groups meetings, all this input, and I'll summarize this real quick. Not counting the stakeholder group meetings and the town hall meetings and the employee focus group meetings and all the steering committee and all the work. But between the two surveys, the community engagement piece, we had 2,785 individual comments coming on this plan so far. That's pretty amazing. So just want to point that out. So through that, we've been able to clarify what our vision is. It's very simple. It's the desired end state for the community. And then the mission, this is what the staff are going to do every day to accomplish this vision, to get us there. And then from that, it scales down into 6 strategic priorities. The first 5 look very familiar because that's pretty much what was in the last strategic plan. Not a lot of change, but we did add this 6th one here called community engagement. I'll go through the objectives and the one goal for that priority here in just a little bit here. All right, let's jump into it. So the first goal and set of objectives under the financial stewardship, I'll go quick, and if you need me to expand more, I'll do that for you. But basically, we're financially resilient. We want to keep it that way. We've got 2 objectives to meet that. One focuses on really drilling into our water, wastewater rate piece, and then getting a new ERP system up and running. And if you don't know what an ERP system is, it's our big piece of software that runs all of our financial transactions in the city. It's very, very important. And here's a pause. Good? All right, pressing on. Next, priority area, and also I want to add on real quick, you might see a couple of yellow highlights in there. Since we published the agenda, I went through and did the briefing, and there was a couple questions that came up, so I just put that in yellow. We still need to address that. So if you see those, that's what that means. So the next one is responsible growth management, that priority. The first goal in that is basically all around our natural resources, and we got a pile of objectives in there, one around oak wilt, possible rebate program for tree planting, inventorying our tree canopy, water conservation education, the more programs on that, and then taking another look at our drought contingency plan. And I'll pause. Yes, sir.
I have a couple questions. Going back to 2.1.1, the previous slide, on the evaluation of the oak wilt program, it seems like that should be strengthened a little bit, like maybe evaluate and improve rather than just evaluate. I mean, we have a program, right? So if we're talking about where we're going to go, what's our goal, end goal? An end goal is not to evaluate, but to make some changes possibly. And that is, to me, the oak wilt issue for the city is a big risk that we really need to focus on.
Yep.
I like our rebate program that we have that people can apply for. So I would suggest maybe strengthening that language on the oak wilt piece.
Okay. Just some background on that. This was one of the higher commented, I guess, themes in the feedback surveys that we got, even in the town hall meetings and steering group. What we boiled this down to, and we can certainly add to it, was basically how well is this program working right now? And then from there, we would create new objectives or just update that objective. But if the council wishes, we can evaluate and improve. We can add that very easily if they're good with that.
I think we need to improve it. I mean, I think we need to put some get the education out there to get people to take more proactive action. Because I still see it throughout the city, and people aren't doing things to stop it. So, we could have a program where they get notified by somebody in the city or somewhere that, hey, you have to, you have some oak wilt, and bring them up to speed, so.
Okay, Ms. Van Zant's my scribe. She wrote that down, okay?
All right. And a second one, maybe the tree planting program, not sure, do we have room for more trees?
Which one is that? The tree planting rebate program?
Yeah, I mean, do we, I know we have our tree mitigation process when people, and developers primarily, remove trees, they go through, get the approval, plant trees on a ratio. But implementing a rebate program for planting trees, I mean, I guess my question is, what sparked that? Because we have room for more trees where we already have trees.
So that came from many of the discussions. It was quite trees are just a big thing here in Fair Oaks Ranch. It's really important to the community. And there was a number of comments about what can we do to incentivize folks to plant more trees. Okay, we'll look at that. And I think that's why, no, I don't think I know. That's why I highlighted that evaluate. Maybe we need to evaluate, is a program like that going to work? If it's something, then we press on to the next level. If it's just not going to work, we might just abandon that objective and try something different on the next round.
I think
Primary focus was on a residential incentive as opposed to public lands.
Yeah.
And what would be the requirements, and would there be effectiveness in providing incentives for residents to plant more trees on their properties?
Yeah. Yeah, the tree, when we did the tree mitigation program, we came with that neat idea to just give away some trees to cover that requirement. That was wildly popular with the public. There were a lot of folks in the community who were disappointed they weren't in line quick enough to get a tree. I think that's coming from that.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm not opposed to it, I was just curious. as to
Yeah, I think we have some homework to do in that area, kind of figure out how it would work, but that kind of theme there is like rebating, incentivizing tree planting, that in kind of that general direction.
Right.
Yep.
And then during the Strategic Action Plan Committee meetings, it came up as a possible tool to use to combat the homogeny that we have of oaks in Fair Oaks, and the spread of oak wilt. If you're doing a rebate program for tree planting, then we get to pick the trees that are planted to ensure that we have more species diversity so we're not susceptible to these diseases, 50 years from now, 100 years from now.
Good?
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on that second?
So, yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's like all of a sudden I had a bunch of questions. So, the inventory and tracking the city tree canopy.
Right.
Are we talking about on the city's property itself or the entire city, residential and commercial?
The entire city,
And for what purpose?
to figure out what our tree coverage looks like. Is it growing? Is it shrinking? What is causing it to shrink? Just getting more data on that.
What would we do with it?
You could make policy decisions once you have the data.
You not only track progress, overall progress over time, but it'd be effective in identifying hotspots,
Yeah.
particularly for Oakville.
Yeah, there's certain, like LiDAR, there's certain bandwidths in LiDAR. You can measure really what kind of trees, what the state of the trees are, what if they're diseased. There's quite a bit of nice technology with that, yeah.
That would help us with the Oakville program.
It could. Don't know for sure, but it could. We'd have to set up a program.
Okay.
Okay, any questions on this first goal? I'm gonna move on to the next one here. That's just a continuation. Okay, second goal in responsible growth management. Basically, it revolves around discipline. It's about growth in the community and how we do it through a disciplined process and just maintaining discipline standards. And then the first objective is basically it's one objective: keep the comp plan updated and all the subplans. That's it. Just pretty straightforward. And that's a strategic pause.
Okay, so, y'all must be waiting for me to ask the questions. I did. And so Jim, just in general, not on this, I'm not against this at all, I'm for it actually, but, so when we have something that's part of BAU, business as usual, why do we highlight it in our strategic plan, certain things like, I mean, we're gonna always update the comprehensive plan, right? We're always gonna do master plans, unless we have areas where we're weak and we haven't done them in the past. So I guess my question, and there's a couple spots throughout the document that you provided that kind of rings the same way, like, you know, why are we highlighting that specifically and maybe not other things? Help me understand just the process of why we do that in this approach.
In this approach, so this work right here, so this has been very successful, and really what we want to do is maintain what we've already been doing and put focused energy into just maintaining what we've been doing. And then add a little flavor in there, basically the word disciplined and following what the community will is, with the will of the community. So it's not uncommon for strategic plans to have things like maintain this, because it does take effort to maintain. And when you're putting effort into this, whatever this is, that means there's something else you don't have resources for. So we're prioritizing this. Just maintain it.
Okay.
I'll tag on to that a little bit because to that point, the goal, a lot of the goals are maintaining the same thing in certain areas because those are areas that we think we've been successful and they do reflect our primary, goals of the city, right? With respect to this specific objective, these are new. We've discussed preliminary already with the P&Z, and I intend 2027 budget request a new comprehensive plan update. So this would be a complete revision to the comprehensive plan, and following that we would follow up in subsequent years with updating our capital master plans as well, because that will drive subsequent 5-year CIPs once we're finished with this round. So it's looking forward to the next phase in all those areas. So we have a comprehensive plan, yes, but the intent is to overhaul the comp plan.
So the idea is to focus stronger on that than we have in the past by putting it in the strategic plan.
Yes, so the strategic plan is our playbook for the next 5 years. Every initiative that we undertake should be a part of the strategic plan, so we definitely want to highlight it.
So to enhance it and improve it, Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're going to allocate staff time, probably some resources to this, yeah.
Okay. Well, that helps.
Okay, under responsible growth management, the third goal was basically, it came out as targeted commercial development that supports community character and needs. And basically what we need to do first is do some kind of demand analysis, like what do the residents really want? We got a lot of comments on that, and I actually ran some analysis on this earlier today on this goal. Of the 2,785 comments, 50 to 75% of the comments had some implicit or direct or conditional support for these kinds of objectives right here. So it was peppered around through all the comments, all the steering committee meetings, all the town hall meetings. So folks, what I think what I'm guessing folks are really saying is that we want some growth, but only the right kind of growth. But that's kind of squishy to say, so we got to tailor that down a little bit. So what we need to do is find out what the demand is from the residents. We know what they don't want, but we don't really know what they want. So that's where that's coming from. And then work with the MDD to start in their quest to do their strategy updates. That would be the second objective.
So what's our timeline on that process, would y'all say, in this? Because part of this is going to be time frame for all this, correct?
Yes, sir.
Can't do it all at once. We can't do it this year. Is this something that we would be undertaking in the near term or in the midterm, medium term?
Probably medium term.
First steps, yeah.
The intent is that the full plan to be a 5-year plan, and we will, ultimately, when this plan is fully baked, we'll have timelines, we'll have project managers assigned, budget allocations where applicable. Right now, we want to make sure we're in alignment on the objectives, but ultimately, yes, always will have timelines.
There's not that much commercial zones that are undeveloped. And really the only commercial going in, there may be changing hands that already have that zoning. So were there any questions or comments or feedback as to whether we would rezone certain areas, perhaps like on, the 3351 corridor or anything like that?
No, nothing like the how to do it, nothing like that, but things like, I really don't like have to go into Bernie or San Antonio to get, a basic, like a quart of milk or something like that. Like, where else can we go get that kind of stuff from? It's close by. It's those kind of questions.
So just to clarify, my understanding with what Scott said, we're going to aim to have yearly updates on this, or at least bring it back and look at it every year and see if there's anything that we can update and to kind of keep it current. So yes, it's a 3 to 5 year plan, but we will be taking a look at it yearly.
At least annual updates, and we're aiming for quarterly reviews.
Right.
High-level progress reports.
Yeah. Yeah, the intent is to pair this up with a quarterly financial update and do a strat plan, quick update on the strat plan.
So it's a 5-year plan. Each year it will get updated with 1 year coming off and adding the additional year onto it. So every year we'll update it and it'll be a 5-year plan. And then what Scott said is then we'll have, for the 1 year that we're currently in, we'll have quarterly reviews of what's being accomplished. Is that?
Thank
So
you.
that as we get to the end of the year and we have to update it, then we'll have the information that we need so that we can add that additional year and create the next 5-year plan.
That was the way that I understood it. I just wanted to make sure that it got captured.
So Mayor, I think is the idea would be that our objectives initially the objectives might be updated annually. There might be a new objective added. One is completed, we add a new one, but the overall goals would stay probably consistent for quite a while, right?
That's, the priorities and goals should be longstanding.
Longstanding, right.
Objectives, once we adopt, I don't want to add too many, at least without taking some off, because this is a robust list already. But to the point, yes, there will be amendments, at least.
That makes sense.
Okay, are we ready? Okay, the next priority is reliable infrastructure. And Mr. Roden, kind of going to your theme, like we're already kind of doing it, right? We provide a pretty good, a really excellent water service, and we want to just keep that going. That's the goal. So some objectives within that goal, just keep our CIP projects going, implement a structured valve exercising program. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically we have all these valves on our water system, and they go a long time without being opened, and they sometimes don't work. So that's what we want to make sure they work all the time. And then this last objective is basically updating or implementing our asset inventory program and lifecycle management. Just getting better at that. And that's it for that goal. Good? Okay. Next goal on the reliable infrastructure, same thing, except for wastewater. CIP projects. We also want to take a look at the Edwards Aquifer Recharge Zone Inspection Program, get that up to speed. And then our asset inventory and life cycle replacement planning, just be really excellent at that.
What is that one, the Edwards Aquifer inspection program? Do we, what is that?
Grant, you want to? It has to do with our effluent. Yeah.
This comes from a TCEQ requirement. Every 5 years, we're required to inspect all the manholes and wastewater infrastructure that lies within the Edwards Aquifer Recharge Zone. I forget how many miles. It's like 100 and something manholes and so many miles. So what we're doing is every year we're inspecting a chunk of that and repairing a chunk of it so that by the end of the 5-year cycle, they're all complete.
okay, so that's the standard to go by, correct? And, okay, I wasn't sure since we weren't in the Edwards Aquifer for our,
It's a pretty new, did we just finish year 1, Steve? I think I think that last year was the first year we did it.
Yes. Yeah. So keep doing that, yeah. Okay, that's the second goal under reliable infrastructure. Next goal, stormwater, resiliency drainage systems, focusing on that area. Basically one objective, get our inventory up to speed, get the maintenance program that matches that inventory and prioritize the work that we're gonna do by risk. So the riskier areas, we'll do those first. And that's it. Good? Okay.
I know you keep looking at me, so.
No, I'm
on.
looking down the line, Keith. I'll stop. I'll go like
You
this.
can look at me, no, that's okay.
Okay, next goal in reliable infrastructure. Basically, it's about our roads. We just had a presentation on that. But we peppered in there kind of this and that. The roadways, it's part of our culture in the city, and it's part of, our community character. So we peppered this in there, welcoming character of the rights of way. So we have 4 objectives. Basically maintain our programs that we have. They're doing really well. Keep them going, do better. Get the striping and signage program, keep it going, keep it better. And then these 2 are kind of new looking right here. Expand and enhance gateway features at key entry points. Folks like the gateway feature. And so it came up a few times in the surveys, like, hey, can we do these at the other entry points? Yeah, we'll look at that. And then right-of-way beautification program. I know we talked about it at the last council meeting, just for the Fair Oaks Parkway piece. It could be for anywhere, so we could do something like that. I think pause here.
Go ahead.
Good?
Go
Okay.
ahead, Jonathan.
So for 3.4.3, we didn't explicitly ask residents if they wanted, so we're just using the data that we have, that there were some comments on the survey for the strategic action plan.
Right.
That we want to kind of cookie cutter these across the city. Or, just enhance the other entrances. Do we have data that supports that as a community?
So the comments this comes from the comments. No one came out and said that they want other gateway features. I mean, there was maybe a couple, but like overwhelming, it was like, hey, we like the gateway feature. It was pretty cool. And so like, okay, maybe we should add that as an objective. It was a peppered theme out throughout the surveying process.
Part of the branding committee, that was always something that was discussed.
There we go. Yep.
To go ahead and at main entry points into the city,
Yep.
not necessarily have the big one, but something smaller.
Yeah, and that might have been where that came from, yeah.
And that
Yeah.
could be, because there was a lot of community involvement in that on the front end.
And that's my question, because I kind of figured from that, there may already be some data that supports it. But then, on the other hand, I'm looking at like the Nole Hasi speed limit, and we sent it back to TSAC specifically to say, hey, we're not going to touch this until we know for sure that there's a majority of residents that want this. So trying to figure out where on that spectrum to be.
Yeah, like I said, it was discussed early on as part of that community program. And there was a lot of interest at that time, but as an objective, that may be something that we'll have to go ahead and question, and see what we want to do first. But that had always held an interest.
Yeah, so listening to your comments, Mr. Swark, it might be one of the first work tasks that we do here is maybe like a focus group or something to kind of see where that all shakes out. It might be more than we were thinking, it might be less than we were thinking.
And I know that for the strategic action plan, we did put out a second survey that says, are you pleased with what came out? Did we ever do that for the Gateway feature?
For the Gateway specific?
That's what I'm understanding, that this is kind of studying, do we want more of these, or do we want to?
No, we did not put a survey out, a satisfaction survey out on just the Gateway feature. We didn't do
So
that.
it could be possibly the next step is just
Could
to
be,
ask
yeah.
residents, and then from there, we kind of take that input. And then we could always use the data that we already have as well as a starting point. So here's,
Right.
Plan.
All right. Anything else? All right. Goal 3.5, basically it revolves around city facilities. Are they functioning well? Do we have enough space so city staff can do their job? We have meetings, things like that. So 3.5.1, this objective, focus on the facilities master plan, get that thing implemented and done. It's underway right now. And then any facility CIP projects, start advancing those. Good. All right. Next priority is public safety. That's the fourth one on the list. This goal right here basically aligned. We have a safe community by one good standard at least, and maintain high confidence. The residents have high confidence in that. So to achieve that, we got three objectives. One is keep our staffing levels high. Implement some things to keep them up really high. Maintain high levels of community trust. We'll have to poll that and survey that. And then we're already doing a lot of work on community outreach and safety programs. Do more of that. Expand it up as best we can. And that's the first goal for public safety. All right, good. Moving on here. 4.2 goes back to just fire and EMS, so residents can rely on it. We have two objectives. One is to really start evaluating and maintaining the service contract performance. We get that data every month, every month from ESD4, but this is really like starting to plow into it and really starting to analyze it a little bit more. We look at just the raw numbers, but really starting to make sense of that. And then working with ESD4 on kind of the long-term standards to cover. What should that look like for our city? Starting to press into that.
I have a comment on this. On objective 4.2.2, I would recommend that we take off the part that says in conjunction with Bexar County Emergency Services District Number 4. Develop a long-term standard of cover plan for fire and EMS, whatever that may be.
Okay.
Whether it's in conjunction with ESD4, whether maybe at some point as we reach potential full build out, having our own department, or collaborating with some other department, right? I don't want us to be limited to just evaluating ESD4.
Okay. The intent was to establish the standards of cover with our current contractor and just bring them under the tent to work with us.
And I think that's
but
great.
I see where you're going. Yeah.
I think that's great. And I think, I have no complaints. I'm just saying, I don't know what the future holds, and I don't think we should limit ourselves to only evaluating situations that revolve around our current situation.
Okay. I'm seeing some head nodding. Okay. Carol, you got that? All right. We'll make that adjustment. All right,
point.
next. Oh, Mr. Pearson, did you have something? You're good? Okay. So the next goal in the public safety realm is just emergency preparedness. Put a lot of work into our emergency actions plan, emergency operations plan, time to take the next steps. So this objective, basically getting the testing and training parts of that going and getting it done well, and then implementing a continuity of operations plan or a continuity of government plan. What does that look like? And as a pause.
Plans are great, but they're not so great if you don't exercise them.
That's right. Good? All right. And we're going to operational excellence. So this priority kind of focuses inwards on the organization, how we just do things day to day inside the organization. First goal, there's a number of goals in this. First one is just regional partnerships and legislative awareness. Stuff going on with our neighbors, stuff going on in the legislature. So 2 objectives popped out. An annual legislative agenda, get that developed, so adopt it by resolution. And then expand our participation with regional partners. Just be more engaged. And that's goal 5.1.
I'm glad this one got on here because I think we, get our voice heard at that legislative level. Try to increase our participation is a very good thing for the city.
It'll be a little work, but we can do it. Okay, I'm going to move on. 5.2, transparency and digital service delivery. It's how we share information externally and how we make the resident experience on our digital platforms really great. That's what we want to do. So a couple of objectives that came out of that, just online public records access and digital services. So like we have a lot of public records requests. We're wondering if some of those can just be placed out there and they just go look for themselves. The residents go look for themselves. And then digital services, things like workflows, how they access our systems, just make it easy and reduce that friction for residents. They can do it easily. 5 point, the next objective is a citywide website audit, and this has a very specific date on it because it's a Department of Justice requirement, and we are already underway doing this. It is a lot of work, but we will get this done by the deadline. So we put that as an objective. All right, moving on. Here we go. 5.3 is just looking at our technology environment, make sure it works for us. We had in the IT master plan that we didn't adopt, there actually was some good stuff in there. There's a number of strategic initiatives that we could adopt that would support the other objectives in the plan. And then establish an IT lifecycle replacement, like an IT CIP program. So there's no surprises for council. Good to go? All right. 5.4, I promise we're getting towards the end here. High-performing workforce. So we're pretty good, but we can do better. We could do some objectives here, a learning management system, so we can track our training and certifications a lot more efficiently. Performance management tools for staff. Cross-training and succession planning is objectives. And that's it for a high-performing workforce. That good? Okay. Risk awareness and risk mitigation. Just how do we work in the risk realm? We have 2 objectives. Get a citywide risk management framework up and going. This is kind of a carryover from the last plan. We've done some work on this, but it's not quite done all the way. But we will wrap this up, and then get in the habit. This other objective is getting in the habit of continuously doing risk reviews with senior staff as we see things happening and mitigate those risks. Any questions? Getting close. All right. 5.6, just a safe workplace, a strong culture of safety. Just do things to reduce workplace risk and prevent accidents and injuries. And then we are working on that. Mr. Freed and I are doing a lot of work on that right now. We probably need a coordinator, but we don't know, is it enough to do an internal, external? We got to evaluate all that and finish setting that program up. But we put that up as an objective. Okay.
Is that 5.6.2, it says establish, should that be evaluate? Are you saying like a role as a person or just a role that is absorbed within the current city staff.
Yeah, I think the establish is very deliberate because we're kind of doing it already, but it's a burden, but do we want to, is it enough of a burden that do we need to hire somebody else or it's just an additional duty or do we hire an external? We need to
Potentially put in
figure that out.
internal or external
Yeah.
because, contract
Yeah.
of some kind. This is a big focus of mine because we have safety elements as far as, obviously reducing risk, increasing safety, the tracking of our incidents and our claims, and continual improvement, training programs, updating our policies. It's a lot of work for someone to do independent of their existing positions as a manager or supervisor. So I firmly believe this needs resources. It's not necessarily a full-time FTE per se. I don't see, but some type of, potentially contract help or some dedicated resource to establishing and maintaining a comprehensive safety program. We do it pretty ad hoc right now, to be honest.
It's kind of like the discussion we had last meeting about the CDL, right? Tracking all those activities is an example. You could do that with a contract or a partial person.
Yeah, I think, and Ruben and I know this very well, with all of the in-house stuff that we are now absorbing, especially with our road programs and things like that, I think in all likelihood, it might end up leaning towards external and having somebody on contract who will kind of be a risk manager type company that comes in and helps us with our own policies and procedures and training and things like that on the different things that we do. And we kind of contract that out. So when we hire somebody new for our whatever department, they go through the training program with whatever company that is and get trained for safety purposes. It's going to, if something were to happen, it would reduce the liability exposure for the city.
Yeah,
think it's a
TML,
good
plug for
idea.
TML, IRP, they've been really great helping us get to the point where we're at right now, but they have a shallow bench. So, to keep this going, we've got to do that evaluation.
I like it.
All right, that's 5.6, and we're down to the last priority. This is the new one, community engagement, and we have one goal under this. A lot of folks got real excited about this priority. I'm looking at Mr. Swark. He helped craft this. He was very involved. But basically, we boiled everything down that we just want to do better as a broad goal, strengthening community engagement, awareness, and civic participation. Just get the community more involved. So we have 4 objectives. The first 2 here, we maybe can wordsmith this a little bit more and get it down, but basically just increase resident participation using all these tools that we already have at our disposal. Just keep working on that. And then the next one, 612, we probably need to do a statistically valid resident satisfaction survey or something that we can use to track trends. Things like, a good one would be the police engagement one. Like, we have high scores from the safest city, but we don't know if residents really feel safe because we never really asked them. So we probably think we need to do that. So that's what this would do right here. And then the next goal, the next objectives, a Citizens Leadership Academy. That's a big lift. We're excited about it. It basically, residents would come in and we teach them all about local government and how it works and have a fun time with it. And then one thing that Casey and I have been doing a lot lately is storytelling, and we seem to get a lot more engagement when we tell a story instead of just putting static content up. When we tell a story, it starts to spread and folks get engaged. So do more of this stuff right here. And that is it for the last goal of the plan draft. Any comments on this goal? Seeing some thumbs up.
So I just want to point out that the Citizens Leadership Academy was actually a staff idea. I'm super excited about it. I am curious the cost and engagement and timeline for it, right? I think that we'll have some good turnout for it. And I do want to point out that under 6.1.1, increasing resident participation across multiple channels. That does include that puts some of the burden on us as council members to kind of spread the word for these things, and go out and talk to our residents and let everybody know that, hey, this is what we really need to hear from you guys on, so that we can make this decision and fully, be confident that we're making the right decision based on what our residents want. So I do want to point that out, and I want us to all to acknowledge that we will have some more responsibility going forward about this.
I guess my comment is that we've come a long way in the past couple of years in our outreach program. And I think that we're tracking very well, and we just need to keep this goal in mind as we go ahead. There's a lot of words in there that we're going to have to see what works and what doesn't work. So I wasn't sold when we thought that we were going to buy software to go ahead and help us with that at first. I don't know where that ever ended up. I don't recall how that ended up. But I do know that we are getting out there with the goals that we're putting out. Our community feedback has been significantly, those numbers have just gone up over the past couple of years. And I think that's a great trend that we need to go ahead and keep working on.
Yeah, Mr. Parker, I'm really excited that you made that comment, because the software that the council funded was instrumental in getting us to this point. Just point that out, so. Much appreciated.
We did
It
not
saved us a
communicate
ton
before
of
the
work.
meeting.
It saved us a ton of work. So, yeah, thank you. Okay, so that's the end of the goals. Again, if you have questions, like something comes out in the middle of the night, like, oh, what about this? Give me or Scott a call. We got time to make adjustments. So what's coming at us? So the next steps, we're going to run the third community questionnaire, April 3rd through the 17th. Casey and I are going to, after this meeting, we're going to go back over, get this thing ready to launch. I'll go through the questions with you here in just a minute. We'll run it through the 17th, and we need to wrap it up, because we're going to get the document wrapped up hopefully by the 24th and get it ready for agenda setting on May 7th. So we have a lot of work to do in the next 3 to 4 weeks. I think Scott can do it all, right? You got it?
Of course.
No, we'll take care of it.
I have a request, Jim.
Yes, sir.
So before we get to that May 7th meeting, can the council see the document more than, just a week?
Absolutely. As soon as we get, I think once we get the first draft vetted and like it makes sense, I think we can send that out to the council. Yeah.
That would be helpful to be able to.
Yeah. Just want to make sure it makes sense, because we're
Yeah,
moving
yeah.
so quick, there's a chance it doesn't. So.
At this point, I don't anticipate substantial changes, but to that
Yeah.
point, like Jim said, there is still time for your comments. We're putting out another survey with the intention of
Yeah.
getting, hopefully the consensus of the community, but, any additional feedback, now is the time.
Yeah. Okay, so those are the next steps. That's the next push. So the next questionnaire. So I highlighted these yellow pieces because in your slide deck, it has 2 questions, but then we got to really thinking about the second question. We should probably split that up into 2 questions. So the first question really is going to be, what goals do you think should be the highest priorities? Basically a quick checkbox and pick the top 5. And then that'll help us kind of figure out the order of projects that we do on the work plans. That'll help us kind of sort that out a little bit. That's what the point of that is. And then the next one is really it kind of revolves around, were we listening to, was the city listening to you? So the first question is, do you feel like the goals align with your vision of Fair Oaks Ranch? And then do you feel like we kept you informed through the process? And it's feedback for us on staff, see where we can do. If there's opportunities to do better, we can take those opportunities. So those are the 3 questions. If council does not object, Casey and I are going to go launch that right after this meeting. So he's excited, you can see. Okay, council feedback and direction. I appreciate the discussion tonight. It is really helpful.
You think that?
Good,
No, serious. Yeah. It was a good discussion. How about from anybody else here tonight? Anything to add to the discussion that we just went through? Yes, ma'am.
Carol Willoughby, resident of Fair Oaks Ranch. I have a question twofold. Number one, the communication, the survey, that's been being sent out by email, correct?
Well, it's by all the communications means that we have email,
Okay.
text message, social media.
Okay. How are those emails collected by the city? Is it just when you register for the emergency service, you
It's a-
provide your email?
So you're talking about the survey for the?
Yeah, those kind of communications.
It's a link, it provides a link to a platform where you input the information.
Okay, but does that link come to us via email, the residents?
Yes.
Okay.
But email, text, social media, you can access
Okay.
it, or the city website.
So if I run across somebody that says, I never got an email, how can I tell them to look for that email, or how would they get that email?
They can go to the website.
So, yeah, that's a great question, Ms. Willoughby. So probably if you can get folks to sign up for our newsflash on our webpage, you can just go and look for newsflash, sign up for it. You can also go to the strategic plan, the banner link at the top of it, click on that, and then scroll down to the bottom. It says, keep me informed. Click on that, put your information in there, and that'll be another way to do it. Subscribe to all of our social media channels. What am I missing, Scott? We got several ways for folks to engage. And despite all the comments we got, we kind of thought there still might people who didn't get it. Like, so and that speaks to one of the goals in our strategic plan is like, how do we engage more people? So
ma'am, you asked about the routine communications platform that we use. Residents need to sign up for that, just like the emergency platform. And in that, you provide your email address and your phone number, and we can text the information or email it. If residents haven't signed up for that, then we don't have the information to send it to them. The alternate would be to go to the website and city's website, and it is on the front page. It'll have the banner, you can access it there. It'll take you right to the link, and you can answer the questions. Does that help?
Yes. My second question is, on the website, at one point, a few months ago, there was some information about if you wanted to do a water containment project in your home to collect water, a water collection project, that there was going to be some resources for that provided by the city. Is on the presentation where you were talking about rebates for trees, that kind of thing, is there a possibility that the water containment project might be something because of our drought situation and our lack of water? But I would just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if that's something that in that very first slide.
You're talking about like a rain harvesting system?
Something about water collection so that the residents can utilize that at least to water the vegetation around their homes. That's all.
Like have some kind of rebate program or something if they establish a rainwater collection system?
Yes, yeah.
I like that idea.
Just for water conservation. I know we're dark skying, we're watching our aquifer, and I think we need to watch our rainwater too, for the drought purpose.
Sure. Good point. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for speaking up. Anybody else? So, Jim, you got all you need
yes, sir.
to move forward?
Ready to go?
All right. So we're done?
No.
Okay.
You have one more item.
We're done for tonight.
No, you have one more item. I'll just stand right here.
Well, I was gonna go to, you have a report?
I do.
A quick report on the 4th of July?
Yes, sir. So real quick, basically, we're taking the plan that we had from last year that we weren't able to execute. We're just dusting it off and re-implementing it. The vendors, they didn't give us a refund. They gave us a
Credit?
a credit, yeah. And I was looking for Clayton. He's been working with them on the financial people. They gave us a credit. They're still with us, and we're going to basically press forward with our plan from last year. There is still time if you have special requests. Now would be a good time to let us know because we're going to meet with the project teams and all the agencies that are participating in this event, which is the city's big event for the year. We kick that off on the 16th of April. And there's some new faces that, like Lieutenant Cassis and Fire Chief Andrade, and there's a new operations person at the club. So we need to bring them into the tent and kind of get them up to speed on what that process looks like. So we'll meet on the 16th to go over that and kick this thing off, and it should be fun.
Right now, we're looking at the evening of the 4th of July.
4th of July.
Which is a Saturday night.
Yes, sir.
at the country club.
Yes, sir.
Same process we did, what, year and a half, 2 years ago?
Yes, same process. We probably, we had a plan last year to increase our safety a little bit on the parking because we guessed there's going to be more people. And so my guess is because it's a Saturday night and the weather's going to be awesome, we'll probably have a lot of people. So we'll figure that out. We'll work with the fire chief and the police chief and staff. and-
250th anniversary too.
What's that?
250th anniversary.
And it's the 250th, and there's a lot of reasons to draw in more folks this year, yeah.
Are you going to be done by 10 o'clock, Jim? That's the big question.
I don't know. I think we started, it was dark. It's like 9:06, something like that. It's when it's like totally dark and we can go,
Or
so.
get the city manager to approve an exception, so.
We write an ordinance to make
No, no, he
sunset
just-
faster?
He can just approve the exception, so. there you go.
Okay.
I do have a question. So we have this credit. Are you anticipating still having the same budget request for the 4th of July? So it would be kind of almost like a double budget for this year?
No, so the budget that we have in place right now will cover this, and we'll cover it, so we're good. We'll probably make a similar budget request for next year, and actually, when we got the credit, Clayton is so good, he was able to negotiate a flat rate through 2028, so, so,
nice.
yeah. So kudos to Clayton, so.
There's only gunpowder left.
I mean, I wouldn't be against asking for a little bit more for the 250th if we wanted to like
Okay,
seek out, just to maybe do something a little
maybe
extra for.
250th kind of theme,
Right.
A drone show.
okay.
Right.
Let's not go crazy.
We can relay that information, that's
Right, I
actually
mean,
good feedback, yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah.
$1,000.
Oh, never mind.
Is there any update on the parade or the city's part in the parade?
Nothing new.
Okay.
Yeah, we got the MOU signed, and everybody's working on it, so nothing new to report.
Was that possible we could look at maybe increasing the number of fireworks as part of the,
Yeah, that's always in the realm. You want more?
well, if we have the budget?
If we have the budget. I knew there was a hook, yeah.
Or ask like a couple more food trucks, or, I don't know. Just if we anticipate there's going to be a bigger turnout.
Yeah, okay.
Make it bigger, because it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a big deal. So let me talk to Clayton, and we'll talk to the vendor, and then what I could do is just send an email to council and let them know what we came up with. Does that work? Okay,
So we'll certainly coordinate with the vendors. It
Yeah.
may or may not require a modest budget amendment, but again, since we did not have to budget for this year's, have more flexibility than we normally would.
yeah. Where's Summer?
Okay.
All right, that was easy.
Announcements. Any council member have any announcements they'd like to make? Yeah, happy Easter. Tomorrow's Good Friday. As a result, city offices will be closed tomorrow. And we were just notified that for the 3rd year in a row, we are a Tree City USA. So you'll see the new signs going up. And then last, elections. We have a city election on May 2nd, and there is a national, state and county, what's it called, the runoff election is on May 26th. So the point is, there are 2 elections that are gonna happen in May. The city election on May 2nd and the runoff election on May 26th. So the city's already working on communications to put that out to all the residents, voting locations, et cetera. But I just want to make people aware that as we go through the month of April, we'll actually start to see information about both these elections. So there are 2 elections, I just want to make everybody aware of it. Scott, anything I missed, or?
Nothing further.
For council members, anything you want added to a future agenda we need to cover? Good meeting tonight. Appreciate the comments and everybody get involved in what we do. And Carol left, but thank Carol for standing up in her comments. Amanda, anything that we forgot? Anything we missed?
No, sir.
Scott, from you?
Thank you to my mother and my wife for sticking for the whole meeting. the managers of the household are here tonight, so thank you for keeping me honest.
All right, I have the time now, it is 8:19 and we are adjourned.